Our why is that we exist to promote lifelong activity. Part of that vision is that the 12-year-old young female that will play tonight in one of the local stadiums will one day end up in that team. Sport is life. Everything reflects life because it's all part of it. It just happens in fast forward. Got to do what you can to create a really good team that understand the why and buy into the how we're going to go down this path.
Yeah.
You're listening to Beyond Growth with Reyan Fernando.
Mark Neeld, CEO of Geelong United Basketball, decades across AFL as a player, coach, and leadership. Welcome to Beyond Growth.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, mate, and appreciate you making some time to have a chat. First question really is, what's a great day look like now for you?
Good question to start. And you know when people do that, like they're padding, trying to think of a reasonable answer.
Pat away.
A great day for me at work is, so work or just in general?
Just let's go work to start with.
Okay, work to start with. I really enjoy the people that I work with. I enjoy their company from a work point of view. Love catching up. We have, like most businesses, there's a bit of a structure. I've got 5 general managers. I would describe them as go-getters.
Yeah.
Really enjoy saying to, I'll give you an example, someone who's been on your podcast.
Yeah, Connie.
I like going to say, Connie, what are you doing? And just listen to the answer.
Yeah.
Really, that's a really good day. And if I can get to all 5 in the one day, unusual, that would be a really good day. Like this morning, for example, had a 8 a.m. breakfast with Connie. Connie's off on her honeymoon. Her and Glenn, her husband, have been waiting for ages.
I was going to say the surname changed a long while ago.
It did. Now, there's many reasons for that.
Yeah.
They've had to change. I heard this morning, they've had to change location because of what's going on overseas.
Yeah.
So it was around, okay, tell me can you describe, Connie, the next 4 weeks of your area of our organisation while you're not here? And we went through that. So the day started really well. I am a couple of minutes late, which I can't stand. But I didn't do the thing that some people do. They walk in and say, look, sorry, I'm late. And they're walking in with a takeaway coffee.
Yes.
I didn't do
That's
that
a classic,
to you.
Yeah.
I did.
No, you stayed in the car and you finished it.
Yeah, no, I could have, but no, I didn't do that. I was impersonating Jerry Maguire. I had a player manager on the phone.
Yeah, right.
And I think we've got them just where we want them. And I thought, if I say, listen, mate, I've got to jump out. I'm off to do a podcast.
No, fair enough.
So, So a great day. Catch up with the GMs in particular and just we now have staff across 2 different locations in Geelong. So if I can get around and just see what everyone's up to, I find that quite inspiring from a work sense.
And I mean, I don't do a heck of a lot of research when people come on the show, but for you, I made an exception. But I've listened and read and found a lot about your journey, and especially, going through the world of AFL. And one thread I keep seeing in everything I've read and seen is like how valuable for you is having those amazing people around you, as a coach, as obviously now a business leader and a CEO, that, and like you said, seeing the first thing you've said, a great day for you is getting around the 5 GMs, right? So that plays a huge part in your life and your day.
Yeah. What I believe is important, and everybody has their own beliefs because own background, own story. We all work in different environments. I'm a huge believer in the role that I have in our organisation is relationships are really strong, need to be strong, everybody in the organisation and the people that have touch points with us throughout the day, week, month, whatever the case may be. And that's important. So is setting the course, understanding why we do things, and then got to do what you can to create a really good team that understand the why and buy into the how we're going to go down this path.
Yeah.
I think if leaders in organisations can do that, it's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think getting people on the same page when it comes to the whys, so sometimes the hardest piece.
It is. It can be. Having spent the majority of my adult life in the AFL system and experienced different ways of, looking into why, it's just something, if people have come through that system, it just becomes normal. Like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And where we're going and how we're getting there.
Absolutely.
It's just normal language, and it's great now that it, through people such as yourself, that way of thinking is at the forefront of business. And sport is business, and business is sport. Build it around relationships and a reason to do things and a way to do your stuff, basically.
That's it. And I mean, that's something you found when you went to Collingwood, right? Like the way they ran their ship, so to speak. They had a certain mindset of like, no matter where you're from, when you're here, we want you to act like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've enjoyed my time at all workplaces and have lifelong friends everywhere I've worked, and also enjoyed the learning aspect of it. Working at Collingwood, it's in the world of footy, probably outside of footy as well. It's a big brand, and huge. There's lots of people that watch. There's lots of people that it brings about this emotion, not always positive, but within. And working at Collingwood, it's really clear that back then Mick Malthouse was the coach, Jeff Walsh was the footy manager. Had a couple of CEOs. And what was really clear, there were a number of things. Like irrespective what your role was, everybody was respected and dealt with really, really well. But you were striving to be the best in the world at what you did every day, and that can be. You need to respect the fact too that can be tiring on people, and that type of attitude is not for everyone. But it was really clear whether or not you were the person that was assisting the players with their training gear, you were selling and in building relationships with financial partners, you were presenting to the players on how the opposition played, or whatever it was that you were doing. That the deal was, in that given moment, you were striving to be the best in the world at what you were doing. There you go. It's great.
Yeah, but it's such a high bar, right? Like that's
it. It is. As long as you're connected to the, why do we exist?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of this? And let's sit around and say, well, okay, when we're dealing with people, this is how we're going to strive to behave. Okay, it can be pretty simple, but I do understand that. We often talk about we're always striving to get better. And I get some feedback from a couple of the colleagues that I work with to say that they understand the reason for that. They would prefer on occasion that we spend a little bit more time saying, hey, well done. Let's just celebrate this bit before then you ask us, how do we get better? Yeah. And that's something that, I've certainly taken on board.
And that's something I think a lot of businesses do. They sort of they're always focusing on what's next, how do we get better, how do we grow, how do we, hit these targets, but not celebrating all the wins along the way. Yeah. And you just have to enjoy the journey as well, don't you?
Yeah. Well, people, what it's the saying, live in the moment, which is true. You can't be 100% in there though.
No.
Life's a balance.
That's it.
What part of life is not a balance? Like we hear, food intake, drink intake, get some exercise. It's a balance, and people talk about work-life balance. There's no rule there either, by the way. What your work-life balance is might be different.
Yeah.
Lots of people have some really well-intentioned ideas. Listen, read, work out what works for you.
Yeah, that's it. And just enjoy it. I think is the.
I agree.
I mean, I'm. That's something I just do a lot, which is I don't stop to enjoy where I'm at. Yeah. And I always do realize it's always like about a year or two later where I'm like, I was stressing so much during those phases when I was actually doing all the right stuff. I feel like I'm constantly catching myself out like that.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think that's really good. You're certainly not in that boat on your own.
Yes.
But again, the value of hindsight, there's not too many people that go back in hindsight, and if they believe they would have done something differently, well, they do it in their mind in hindsight. I think the valuable piece with, I'm not huge at all on the let's review this. Oh, no, I said, well, why? Because if you didn't really like it the first time, or you thought like you're hardly going to like it the second time, if the purpose is that we ever find ourselves in this situation again, or we're planning something into the future, like a forward focus, absolutely, I think that's a great idea. That's a great purpose. Let's go.
Yeah.
If you're going to lock me in this room for 2 hours to simply just talk about what just happened and then we leave it, nah, I'm not for that.
Yeah. Which is fair. I think it's analysis paralysis, and that's one of the words that gets the phrases get thrown around. But yeah, you can get caught in just going around in circles, can't you, with that stuff?
Yeah. Look, analyse, use it to plan forward.
Yeah. Learn,
have a go.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Just let's crack in and see how we go here.
I think it's something I sort of, when I work with leadership teams, I find is like we review a quarter and it's very much like, okay, what did we learn? What are we going to do better?
Yeah.
Now let's set new goals. Let's move on,
Yeah.
move on from there. Because otherwise, you do, like again, you can, as much as you can enjoy the wins, you can also loathe the losses for too long as well, right?
Exactly. I think we're human. If things don't go right, have a bit of a whatever you want to do, debrief with someone, have a chat, whatever the case may be. But and then you just got to go forward. You just have to. I'm huge in the action learning space. Let's do something, have a look at it, modify if need, crack in again. Let's get going.
That's it. And look, and I think the Geelong United Basketball, that journey for you has been a little bit of that in very different levels as well. Obviously, kicked off with a 2-year stint.
Yes.
8 years now almost.
Yeah, just over 7 years. Yeah. so I'm 7 years, or just started my 8th year of my 2-year contract. So that's working. And it's sometimes if you get asked how did you end up there, and you think it's a really good question. Not really sure. Better work through that. At the time, it was seen that in the community basketball space in Geelong, a couple of associations operating quite near each other, all doing hours and hours of work and great work for the community. It was felt from probably from a governing body level that things could be a little bit better, and we're going down this path, as are a number of businesses, essentially a shared services model. From a business point of view, replicating very close distance, replicating what was done, but same market, therefore really dividing revenue, but having twice the expenses, that's not going to work. Yeah. And that's just so that we're not talking anything about emotion and colours and all that sort of stuff. We're just talking from a business point of view. And so there was that, and then there was the again, why?
Yeah.
Two organisations have exactly the same why. Okay, this is good. So we're starting with alignment. And then the question for the basketball community that we kept repeating was, what's the best thing for the sport into the future? Let's discuss that. It's a challenging question because you can overlay that in any context. But in sport, there's emotion, and people played for this club and that club and they did that, and they don't like you. They don't know why they don't like you. They're just supposed to not like you. Yes. But when people sort of got the idea, and it was about the sport, and then it became about the community and what the place of community sport is in the overall Geelong region. They were really good discussions, and then it was seen as quite, we actually exist for the same reason here. If we did it together, we might be able to get more people involved, and all of a sudden our role in the community, we're reaching more people to become a little bit more active. Yeah, okay, I think we're getting it.
And that's taken a few different shapes, and as a couple of areas I want to get into, but I want to start with that community piece, because I feel like I mean, we're speaking to Connie as well, and basketball is such a huge sport, not only in Australia, but around the world. Like it's played so much, and the level of community activity needed to keep sports going. And when I say community activity, I mean more the volunteering side of things as well. And you've got to, I guess, to a certain degree, celebrate that as well, and support that space without being going into a commercialization of things as well, right? Like it's huge.
Absolutely. So our why is that we exist to promote lifelong activity. Yeah, that's it. So that's our role in the community. And there's other sports that exist for the same reason. They just have a different vehicle. And we're not. I don't believe that basketball, soccer, football, not competitors. We're just assisting the community to stay active and giving them an option to try different ways to do that. If the community space that we work in, there's approximately 1,100 teams of players. Most have around 10 players in their team that play a game of basketball in Geelong once a week. Now, if you think about the amount of people that sit behind that, so at the community level, of those 1,100 teams, they'd all have a coach, assistant coach, a team manager, completely voluntary.
Yeah.
They belong to 75% of them belong to one of 20 community-based basketball clubs in Geelong, all run by volunteers, which is phenomenal. But that's the contribution that they make to society, and it's sensational. And then we have the other arm, which is nowadays called Pathways, and that's for the people that want to take their sport perhaps a little bit more serious than the community. They see it not only as keeping themselves active, but they would like to try to be maybe the best they can be in this sport. So what do we offer for that? And that's sits over in the Pathway section.
Yeah, and I think that Pathway section took a huge turn in the last couple of years for you, and I've lit the studio up in green to talk about.
Yeah, thank you. Connie and Lucas and the team would be very happy with that.
Well, obviously talking about Geelong Venom, and I think it's that's an interesting story in itself and how quickly it came about. But I mean, for you to make that decision, what was I guess that was a real pathway grow, and I think also a pathway for girls playing the sports, right? Because a lot of sports, and I had Kate Darby in the other day, and when she was playing footy as a youngster, she had to stop playing. She was I think she was 13, and she stopped playing.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Or 12 or 13. That was the last game, and got carried off by her dad. That was the end of footy for her, and then she got an opportunity when she was 27. When AFLW came around, and I think that impact that had such impact when she was talking to me, because I'm like, as a man, as a boy growing up, like sports opportunity was there for so much longer, especially in the sports that I wanted to play as well. So creating that pathway for basketball and creating a reason to continue is so powerful.
Yeah, it is, and that is it's a story. Whether or not people find it interesting is up to them.
Yeah.
It sort of did come around quickly, but at the same time it didn't. So the Pathways section, as I said before, people want to take their sport a little bit more seriously, that they want to have a go to see to what level they can reach, which is fantastic. And I think we need to very much understand that in the world of sport, whether or not they're playing in Division 6 or 1 or 2, anywhere in between, that could be the highest level of sport they ever play.
Yeah.
So let's just think about that for a moment, and what's the environment that we can help them create. So the Geelong Venom, which plays in the Women's National Basketball League in Australia, we are now we're preparing for our third season. How that came about, so community club president meeting, and we've got the 20 presidents sitting around a table, and would have Emily, who's our GM of community, she would have been there, and would have had probably Liz, who would have been chairing the meeting and going through things. And when it came to AOB, really challenging question. What are you doing for female participation? We've noticed post-COVID that we've dropped female participation in the sport of basketball in Geelong by 5%.
Yeah, right.
It's gone from 33% to 28%. What a great question. And that was, so I was there and I said, look, that is a wonderful question. Can I come back to you? So it went back and asked more questions, and we said, well, okay, what are some things that we can do to increase female participation? What are some sports in Australia, around the world, that have high levels of female participation? What are they doing? Can we replicate? So the Geelong Venom came about as a component of a strategy to see if we could lift female participation. So if we just look at that in isolation, there's a lot of research and data that says if young, and we just speak about female, I must also point out that if you want to increase female participation, the greatest thing is to ask a female. Yes. And lots of them.
Yeah.
Like we need, so it was like, okay, well, I have an idea, but hang on. I'm 54 years of age, I'm male, I'm white, I played football, had daughters that played netball. Hang on, I need to go and ask some experts in their field. I'm not going to get up there and say this is what we need to do. So we did all that. We canvassed and researched. And so the research out there that says if young females can have a connection locally with people playing sport at a really high level, that significantly increases the chance that they might want to have a go at sport and they might stay in it. It doesn't necessarily mean basketball. They just might like the friendship aspect, the team aspect, things such as that. So that's where it actually came from. And then we were given the opportunity, one of the current teams in the league was up for sale. So we got together with the Geelong United Basketball board at the time, had a discussion around that, and then we had a group of Geelong families. It's certainly something we can't do on our own. It's quite a costly exercise, and we might touch on that a little bit later. But we had, half a dozen families in Geelong that were prepared to assist and financially assist in a big way. Yeah. And we put in a bid for the licence and got it. And now we're heading into year 3.
Well, and I think can we go into the costly side of things? Like what does it take?
Can.
Yeah, what is it? I mean, I guess that was one of the bits that I think people don't see, that outside, outside looking in, you're like, oh, cool, we've got a basketball team. Right? Geelong gets a bit excited, and it's fantastic, great for the community. But yeah, there's a commercial side to that, right?
Yes, I might go. So we've gone into it. When people say they go into it with eyes wide open.
Yeah,
what does that mean? So to us, it meant do as much research as you can. And what we found out that the Women's National Basketball League this year becomes a 9-team competition. There is each team back this. We've got a 5-year plan, a 5-year business plan. Part of that is very much financial, and we would like to be in a position within 5 years that we are as close to covering our expenses as we possibly can. Now, for those people that listen to your podcast, and I'm sure there's a lot that do a startup, I think we're all across. If you do Geelong Venom's essentially a startup business. Yes, it's an arm connected to another larger organisation, but it's a startup business. For those people that have done that, you're not getting any holidays. Don't take annual leave. It's going to burn through a lot of cash. Yep. Certainly, don't go home and talk about what your hourly rate is, because that will look really poor. But you have to have what's it look like over there?
Yeah.
Have we got a? So ours is 5 years to see if we can get close to covering costs. In the first year, deficit of around 800,000, right, which is covered by the half a dozen Geelong families. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. This year we're under. It's about half a mil, 5 year, 500,000, and our budget is to reduce it again next year with a view to getting there. So the biggest areas look. The profit margin in sport and in most things is at the top end. So that is local Geelong businesses, Victorian businesses and Australian businesses getting behind women's sport and understand we have to put the show on, so that costs. We had so in terms of that, we had a 33% increase in crowds, which is sensational. In our second year, we've got to go again. We had 100% increase on our financial partnerships.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we've got what we are finding. I mean, it's a startup, and people are having a bit of a look at it, and those types of things. You know, we have about 100 businesses involved in the Geelong community, and which is sensational. And because we are a community organisation, it's sitting down like we are now, having a chat, finding out, well, you know, what's your why? What do you want out of it? How can we come up with a partnership that will work for both of us? So that takes a little bit of time, but we think that's really important. It's the communities team, and like it's like Geelong United Basketball that owns a portion of it and then runs it. But we are the basketball community. So what do the basketball community want? What do you want out of this? So I think that's important to remember. So yeah, it's expensive, but we're certainly really pleased with our first 2 years and looking to reduce that deficit again in year 3.
That's unreal. And then just to hear that's half a dozen Geelong families backing it, you know, it's one of those things that, I mean, talk about community.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. And I think we're going to go again, and I'm sort of bound by. I'll give you a little bit, but then I'm going to tell you, sorry, I can't. I'm bound by an NDA. I'll get my wrist slapped. We think we're going to offer up the opportunity for the community to also own the team. I think that's important.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you know, we're looking at how we can increase the stakeholders. We're looking down the syndicate path. Because it's quite interesting. You sit down with someone who's got family, got a few kids involved. They're liking it. They've got a connection with some of the players, and say, "Hey, would you like to own a basketball team?"
It's the dream.
Exactly. Right. Go, oh yeah, let me. So we're looking at ways that we can do some syndication to get people in, and we think that would be that's probably the way to go.
I think so too. I mean, and what an impact to making it, part of the community, like by having community owning it. Like that's unreal.
Yeah. So I'll come back and let you know how we go.
Yeah, let me know. I guess now going through that, the one thing that stood out was the fact that you won you got the license to have a team, and cool, let's go, and you had 3 months. Yeah, 3 months to till the first game.
Yeah, yes. So I remember wandering back into the office and going, high fives, we've got a team in the Women's National Basketball League. And it's interesting, probably half of our workforce you would describe as full into basketball, know their plays and their players and every different league around the world, and they're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And we have other people that, they're in there to do a job, they get along really well, but not really wound up with everything that's going on the court. So I was a little bit of, what do you say? And then it was a few high fives. When do we start? 3 months pre-season starts. Okay, what do we need? So it was, again, solid question. I think what we know there's more we don't know than we know. So let's start there. At the moment, we actually don't have a name for our team. We certainly don't have a coach. We have no players. And we're starting pre-season in 3 months. So we've got a little bit of work to do here. And we also don't have any financial sponsors. So let's get going. Yeah. So that was like a great experience.
Yeah.
And
that's the ultimate startup.
That is the ultimate startup. But great. The community, first of all, the inner community of the team in the office has rallied and said, well, okay, rightio, this is sleeves up here. Roll your sleeves up. Get your hands dirty. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Which was so good to be involved with, and then the support from the families and then the wider basketball community and what is now becoming the wider community. That was hectic, which is great. What we are finding is that sport at that level, and when I say that level, if you look at the national cricket competitions, of which there's plenty, Super Netball, we like to have a look where Super Netball's at. I've got a family connection to the Super Netball thing, which helps. So I see that a little bit. But if you look there, it's part of the entertainment industry. So we're blending, yes, we want young females to see this and just start up being active. Like I said, it could be netball, could be basketball, could be cricket, could be anything.
Yeah.
Let's get them in there.
Just give me 30 seconds. If your business is serious about certification and trust, you need to check out ISO 365. They make ISO compliance simple, practical, and sustainable by building your ISO systems inside the Microsoft 365 tools you already use. No extra software, no hidden license fees, just real control and ownership of your compliance. I love the work that ISO 365 does because they don't just hand you templates and walk away. They become part of your team as virtual compliance officers, guiding you from gap assessment through to certification and long-term compliance. If you want compliance that actually works for your business and helps you win trust and new contracts, check out ISO 365. And now back to the show.
But it's also entertainment. That's the deal. And it is, what I thought was an interesting question. I met some people who don't work in the basketball industry, and I just said, listen, can I borrow 45 minutes of your time? I've got a question to ask you. And they work in marketing around different sports, but national level sports, not basketball. I said, if you had this product to market, how would you do it? And then I said, I'll come back in 20 minutes and I'll pay you for your 45-minute time, which was interesting. So they came back and said, well, what we would do, because inside, whatever it is you work in, you think your bubble's really big. Yeah. So we think, 11,000 or approximately weekly basketball participants in Geelong, plus their families. It's big, but it's not massive.
Yeah.
So you step outside it. And what came back to us was, well, it's actually entertainment, because we've gone along and we've had a look. And for 90 minutes, you can take your family, it's inside, costs you $10 a ticket. If the kids can have their face painted, they can have one of the someone in a costume tie up a balloon for them, and they run around. And then if they're right up for it, because with the Geelong Venom, if they want to go into the foyer, they can hold this enormous big snake and all that sort of stuff, which is not for me. I have a massive wide berth around that. So we
I heard about the snake.
The snakes are great
Yeah.
if that's your thing.
Yeah.
We have, and for those listening, we don't just let them
just
roam wild. It's actually have handlers and things such as that, and they are non-venomous.
I was going to ask,
unlike the name. But even so, it's not for me. I think I'd faint if that thing got anywhere near me.
Yeah.
But part of that too is, okay, that opens up another thing. So we're not just talking about female participation here. We're offering another element for entertainment in Geelong. It's just a different vehicle. So I think that's really where we need to go, and that will help us reduce the deficit it costs to put the team on the court and everything we want to do.
Absolutely. And I think, the entertainment aspect is so huge in basketball too. And just seeing that so much activity between shots and between, quarters and things, there's so much stuff that happens. And I think kids love it.
Well, that's really important. Yeah, let's touch on that. I think the repeat spectators, families, kids, etc. It's a great conversation because, and there's never a right or wrong. We look at the world through our own experiences, and we get some feedback from some very experienced basketball people, which is great. So their experience with basketball is sitting there watching the game and really analyze, did you see how they moved to the left and then they did that and they passed it over there and then there was this and that. That's what they do. And they'll say, gee, the music's loud. And what about, why does every time the coach wants a timeout, someone runs out onto the court and then a kid appears and they have a free throw competition, or you've got a kid who's driving around the court on a little scooter and then they disappear. And we say, well, it's different for different people. It is entertainment, and the fact that it's great to hear that there is an element of the population that look at the game and say, well, this is awesome, but there's also another people that just want to bring their family and be entertained for 90 minutes. It's the same at the footy. I go to as many Geelong Cats games as I can, do a little bit of work on the K-Rock radio, and it's funny in that environment because one of the people who I work with gets really frustrated after one of the players kicks a goal because they play music.
Yeah, and the flashing lights are on the stadium.
Said, why do we do that? Because I said, well, people like it. Yeah, that's why we do it. It's bringing new people to the game. But he would rather have a discussion about, did you see that kick? And they were going to get tackled by 3 people, and he put it across his boot, and then the wind was coming from here. And I said, for you, that's really interesting. So we can still have that conversation. But not everybody wants to do that. So you just need to find a balance.
That's it. And I feel like, I've been to a few basketball games. I'll be honest, I haven't been to a Venom game yet, so that's on the list.
Round 1, you'll be there.
Yes, I will. And I think for me, I like it. I like the entertainment purely because sometimes, they call a timeout. Like the last minute of a game can last.
It does. Well, that took a little bit of time getting used to.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun with the time.
That was, I was like, hang on, what? Another timeout? And like there's 10 seconds left. And like that. So to have things in between for me is good, especially when you're taking kids to it. Kids are like, why is there another timeout? I'm one of the kids, by the way, in this scenario, because I'm like,
I'm there too.
Yeah.
I fully understand that. So yeah, the entertainment factor is huge. It's real. It's what people need.
And on top of that, I mean, there's that aspect, but then you all made a great effort to make sure that the players, the brand new players, got known by the community and had good, contact and interaction, so that it really you see the socials, and there's so much of that happening, and it's I think that drives that community and that connection so much more as well.
That's really important. There's a few things we can have a chat about here. In sport of basketball, so as I said before, my background in sport is football and netball, and one of the things with basketball that make it challenging to do exactly what you said, player retention at clubs in the sport of basketball is the lowest of any sport.
Oh, really?
And players have a culture with their managers and clubs. They move what would appear every 5 minutes. So we're looking at ways where we can essentially have a group of people that come through and they stay for quite a while to do exactly what you said, embed them in the community. There's a lot of things that league level they're looking at to assist that, because they particularly some initially when I raised that, you say, well, in the WNBA that works because LeBron James has played for 4 clubs and this and that, and so okay, that works for their environment. There's also nearly 500 million people in America, right? So that works. Not so much in Australia. Yes, if you look at AFL footy, players do change. The bulk of the players stay where they are, and it's about that connection. So there's more we can do to getting the players into the schools and into the local businesses and the shopping centres, and we will explore that. There's more being done at league level around the salary cap. It's a different type of salary cap in what we have to deal with. I would call it a soft one, because if someone gets really excited or emotionally involved, players can get money in and around the salary cap, which you can't do in other sports. Yeah. And the managers know that. So I'll say, well, we're at our salary cap level. Oh, yeah, but there's always this way you can pay them more. And you think, not 100% keen on that. So one of our objectives is to have a team that we have with a new coach coming into our 3rd season, Cheryl Chambers. She, in the basketball world, she would be considered right at the top echelon of coaches. She's coached the Australian women's team. She's now gone back into that program as the lead assistant. So what we're offering the Geelong players is an environment that will replicate an Australian environment on a daily basis. So that's something. So we want to attract. And footy, you'd normally have a percentage of your list that would come out of contract every year. In basketball, they all like to come out at the same time.
Oh, really?
So I'm not for that. So we're just trying to. It's a bit of that'll take some time to change. But the research we've done, or the questions that we've asked the people that have come to the games is really clear. So, for example, our financial partners, they would like to see us increase the attendance again by another 1/3. Okay, that's really important to them, because they want to make sure if they're going to be supportive through brands, etc., that more and more people see it. They'd like to see an increase in the people that are particularly watching our away games on the streaming services. Okay, so we really need to do some education that's on. Yeah. So we've gone from, we finished 6th and then 5th, I think. So they would like to see us really compete for a spot in the playoffs. Okay, we've now gone and invested heavily in a coaching process to select a new coach that's come out with Cheryl. So we're thinking, that's a really good start. And now we're looking at putting a roster around Cheryl that can be in Geelong for a couple of years. So we know that's what they want. And then when you speak to mum and dad or whoever it is that goes along, they want fast-paced entertainment. That's what they want. They want a connection to the players. They want a connection to the enormous, I was going to say something else, and that enormous snake thing that hangs around in the foyer. So they're the things we're looking at.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a lot of different stakeholders to try and keep happy with the one vessel.
But it is, but again, it's not. We're not the only ones that do it.
Yeah.
Australia and the world is full of amazing ideas and people that have been so successful doing it. Sometimes the best thing to do can also be one of the most challenging. See if you can come up with a really good question and then just listen.
Yeah. I feel like that's, I guess, part of the Geelong Chamber. We're both on the board together. But I feel that's something you do really, really well. You sort of just ask that question and then you be quiet and you see what comes out.
Well, well, thank you for that. I think being on the, as you said, we probably should have declared that. We both sit on the one board of the Geelong Chamber of Commerce, which is an experience in itself.
Yeah,
and that's also a membership-based organisation.
Yeah,
and finding out why people want to join and then stay, or how do we entice other people, other organisations to join? What again is ingrained in the. I suppose the environment that I've come out of for a long time is asking questions. Feedback is like people. That's something that you get in the world of sport, whether or not you ask for it or not. I often talk about sport is life. Everything reflects life because it's all part of it. It just happens in fast forward. You get feedback, whether or not you ask for it, on a million different things, and you'll get feedback on things that you're not even aware that you needed feedback on or you're not working on, but all of a sudden you think, so I think it's really important to be able to do that. And you can. We had an interesting one during the week, which I thought was great. There was a woman wrote to us and gave us some feedback it was for our social media team. And was giving them feedback on the types of photos and the difference between the way that we were portraying male athletes and female athletes.
Okay. And
I thought, what a great one. How awesome that the person took the time to actually write in. But what she told us, when I asked the team, I said, well, what did you do with the feedback initially? And I think this is a human nature. There was a little bit of, we'll defend and we'll say, I don't believe she wants to engage in that. I don't think that's the reason. We don't need to defend. What can we learn from it?
She wouldn't email and be discreet about it.
But it was really interesting because not all, but there were more action shots of the men, and there were more static shots of the women standing there smiling. And she wanted to know if that was a conscious decision. But it wasn't. It was just what it was. But it was how good. So let's use that. We can know this is, if we're going to have a crack at increasing female participation, let's not only explain how it's great you can be with your mates and you smile, but you also run around, catching, throwing. We need to do a little bit more of that. So that's an example where, like, we didn't ask for it, but it was really worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think in that social space, what I loved seeing about what Geelong Venom's doing in the social space is, I don't know, like I see it the way the players have been, the videos that come out, the way they walk in, there's this real theatre to it. There's a real, like I said, you know what I mean? And I think it was like, there's a fashion label. I forget the name of the fashion label.
Edge Clothing.
Edge Clothing, yeah. So I see that, and then you'll see they'll walk in with it, and there's each one's got the different looks and things like that. But it's got that real like I mean, I'm a bit of a WWE hack fan, so I'm a wrestling fan. Keep that on the down low.
So we can. I've got something. We'll revisit that with another little thing we're up to.
And I think and even the UFC and things like that. I think just seeing the players arrive backstage during a live event and things like that, I feel like it just creates this buzz. And Geelong Venom does that. So I look at the stories back when the games are playing, or I see some of the videos and how they work with Edge clothing. It's just like, this is cool. And it's for me, I'm like, okay, cool. That's it. I think you guys are nailing that part really, really well.
That's terrific feedback, and I'll be sure to take that back to the team that work on the socials. There's a couple of things there. I mentioned before about sitting down with people that show interest and finding out their why and how we can sort of have a relationship. Edge Clothing is one where it's not quite a startup, but they've got a store that they want more traffic through. They want to get their name out there. They want to do this and that, and they said we don't have all this spare money to throw at you. So, okay, well, how does it work? So what they said, well, what about we give the players an outfit or a couple of outfits for the season? Would you be able to take some photos or whatever the case may be when they turn up, and let's replicate what goes on in America? And the team said, yeah, we can do that. It was an interesting one at the start because when you're looking at the numbers in a spreadsheet very closely, it could be considered to be a nice to have. You know what I mean? Like, there's no money changing hands anywhere. So it is a nice to have, but what we found out was the players loved it. It's another reason to come to Geelong to say, hey, we've got this we certainly have a strong relationship with Edge Clothing, but the Edge Clothing, they love it. And when you come back to what is our why, well, we're in the Geelong community, playing a role in the Geelong community. This is a great partnership. So they're helping us attract and keep athletes.
Yeah.
We're helping their brand is exactly the market where they want it, and then people like you seeing it on social media. The social media one's always an interesting one because our media team will be listening saying, it's not exactly what he says to us all the time. And so I
won't bring up the reach with you.
No, my challenge to the social media is which I understand. Like people are out there, right, on social media, and everybody has a look. So they'll say this particular. I think we've announced this morning an unbelievable signing in the basketball world. There's a woman who's currently over trialling in the WNBL. She's an ex-captain of one of the WNBL teams. She's been there for 5 years, won championships. She's in the Australian team, and her name is Maddie Rocci, and we've just announced her. She'll be playing for the Venom this morning. And as I was leaving the office, Taylor goes, "Oh, Mark, we've had 2,000 people have said they like it or whatever." You click the thumb, and I said, "That's terrific, Taylor." I said, "That is so good." Do you know what's better? If you could get $1 from when you work out how each like is worth $1, come back and see me. That's awesome. And then I get that, Mark, but it doesn't work that way. No, I said, I understand that, but see how you go. And then I have to, as I'm walking out the door, she tells me that, the more people that like it, the businesses like it because it's more. So I get that. But if we somehow every time someone clicked that like, if we get $1 in our bank account to pay for what's going on here, that'd be better.
Mark, you said this last board meeting.
Yeah, there you go.
And that dollar. I've been quoting that ever since.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me $1. To that point, right? I think you probably know already, but I do the barbecue cooking. That's kind of my little hobby of creating content. So I did a pork crackle on a roast pork shoulder in the Weber.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Cut a video up, 8 seconds. It's sitting at 1.5 million 1.5 million views on.
Imagine if you got $1.
I imagine I got $1. And then
you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me.
In the back of my head. And I'm like, if I only had $1 for each one of those views, that'd be
I'd take 50 cents.
Oh, I'd take 10 cents.
Yeah, there you go. But it is a strict.
I know.
And then the challenge, and I'm not doing it for any other reason. I think having people think and where they fit into, and they'll say, oh, no, but this will get people to come. I said, I know all of that. I'm just helping. Look, what I want to do is to make sure that you are thinking as widely as possible, because I said there's a component that at the Venom level and at our NBL 1 level that is in the entertainment industry. So we need to balance. I said, I understand how fun it must be for people to see the basketball. There was some social media posts last week between some of our basketballers and some of the Cats footballers, both men and women. And, they're trying to hold a basketball in one hand and the
Yeah, I saw
footballers
that,
couldn't
yeah.
do it and they drop it. And I said, look, I get that. But you can't spend all your time there because as good as what it is, and when people go to bed, they do their doom scrolling and they see a couple of players doing that. I said, we're not in that entertainment industry. So just balance, please.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, I get the challenge though. I think there's definitely businesses that they're almost looking to try and get like a viral post. They're like, oh, well, why aren't our posts doing this? But unfortunately the social game is very different now as well. You can't. Yeah, there's definitely things can go viral for no particular reason, but give you $0 as well.
But look, it's just playing your part.
Yes, that's it.
Brand for some people, for brand awareness is where they just want their brand out there because they might be a startup or they're starting to lose traction in the market, or okay, we can assist there.
Yeah,
but it's just I don't mind just asking a few questions,
seeing what they say.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the players, and I suppose this journey into the WNBL for them, and how they're going through and sort of developing the sports and having to balance work and sport and things like that. How does that reflect back on your career starting in footy, and then having to work as a teacher, play footy? And I think I was listening to something, I can't remember which one, but you were talking about how you were on that cusp of training, midday training or daytime training coming in, when you were being like, oh, I won't be able to teach if I was doing that. But what's that like for the basketball players now and what they're doing?
Well, similar. I can remember when I was at the AFL clubs coaching, and you'd mention to the players, and a lot of the coaches played, and you say to the players, well, back when I was doing what you're doing, we used to do weights in the morning at about 6 o'clock, go off to work or uni, and then come back at night and train. I go, what? They just look at you and go, what? No, we did. And I go, what? Clearly, the financial rewards were a little bit different to what they are now. And then, I was around when it did go to we're going to go in the middle of the day. Well, hang on, righto, we need to make some decisions here. I was coming to the end of my career, and okay, if we do this, I've got to give up that job. But now it's fully professional, and the players are there. It is their full-time job, and they're there a lot longer than 38 hours a week.
Yeah.
The basketball environment is unique to itself again. So right now, basketball in a calendar year, the majority of players will play 2 seasons. So what we offer, what is essentially a state league team, which is called NBL 1. We have a men and women's team in a state league. It essentially runs the football season, the AFL football season. That's where it's at. And so each state has a state league. And then the national leagues for men and women, I was going to say tip off, October through to March. And the players will have a contract with a team in the state leagues and one in the national teams if that's their level.
Okay.
It can be quite tricky. It does play, it is a contributor to the community aspect. We're fortunate that we're the only club that has an NBL 1 team and also a WNBL. There's rules around how many people can play in both, but we can offer a certain number of athletes the ability to stay in Geelong for 12 months of the year, which is foreign for basketball. So NBL 1 is exactly the way that I just described it. It is semi-professional, so there'll be 3 or 4 players in each team that's their profession. They travel the globe or travel Australia or Victoria doing that, so they don't have any other employment. But with 12 people on the roster or 15, you've got a dozen people that are either at study or working. So training is before work hours and after work hours. That's what sport used to look like everywhere. But in the WNBL, that's where it's tricky. And the NBL, it's considered for 6 months of the year full-time professional sport. So they train during the day. We do offer up some times in the schedule where they can, study the players or whatever the case may be, but also get into the community.
Yeah.
Like it is interesting when we have the discussions with the Players Association and they talk about, the players want to train between 10 and 4. Okay, I understand that. That's terrific. But one of the things that we need to do as a whole sport is to not only build the brand of basketball, but to build the brand of female sport. Schools operate at that time. Can we compromise as to, one, understand how important that is and how we can alter some days of the training schedule to allow them to get into the schools? So that's ongoing discussion.
Yeah, okay. That's such a balance. And then to have that 6 month of, okay, now you're determined to be full time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It is, I think, again, that's the current reality.
yeah,
I'm huge on so the current reality is this. It's not going to change today or next week. Let's understand, can we design what we want everything to look like down the track? Put a ambitious time frame on it. Do we want it to look like that in a year or 2 or 5 years? Okay, if the answer is no, what do we want it to look like? Right, we'd like it to be fully professional 12 months of the year. Okay, right. So, right, what are the steps we need to take now to do that? Let's be honest. Current reality is this. We don't want, that's not our aspiration. That's not the vision. But let's work together to get as close as we can. I think sometimes you just need to resist the temptation for not acknowledging what current reality is and just jumping up and down and saying, oh, but I want this. Okay, well, we all want that. How do we get there?
yeah. That's a good question. I think obviously something that you'll keep working on. Coming back to that 5% drop in female players, where are we now? How's
it's risen. We're in the low 30%, which some people say, oh, sensational. Female sports, about female participation in basketball is a third. Why isn't it a half?
Yeah.
Again, we're out there saying what would attract more females to play? What do we need to modify our increasing female participation strategy a little bit? Yeah, everything needs. You just can't make it and put it away in the top drawer. So there's increase. We're seeing increase. There's a heap of contributing factors. All sports have a drop off in females in those teenage years. Let's find the people that. So this is what we do. You got to find the people that drop out. See if you can talk to them, find out what would have kept them. And sometimes there's reasons that you'd never keep them. But we've seen an increase, so we believe it is working. And there's things. Another area that, again, through my lens, you look at it and go, doesn't make any sense. So we've got to ask. And this is wrong. That's my strong language, but this is wrong. So of all those in the pathways, right, we're over here. And it used to be called representative. So I think we've got approximately 55 teams. It's like 90% of the coaches are male. Really? So we need some work to do this. So there are barriers for females coaching. See if we can break these down.
Yeah.
We know a few of them, and we're doing what we can to break them down. We need to know more. And when people say it's time, I go, no, that can't be right. 95% of the team managers are those 55 female. Oh, that's a really bad stat. Yeah. And that's a really poor reflection on our community. Because it's not time, because those people are there. How do we get the team managers? How do you go from team manager to coach? What's the support that we need to put around them? The reason that we're big on trying to find that is there is a direct correlation to the percentage of female coaches and the percentage of female players. Yeah. So we need to do something. We're failing there big time. And we're not the only sport, and we're investing some time into that space.
Yeah, it's interesting because I coach my son's under-13 soccer team, and yeah, looking at that too, it's majority. I haven't got any stats, but I'm going to say majority male coaches, and just we have a really good female, like a whole bunch of girls playing soccer too, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're coached by men as well, so it's an interesting one. It's a good one to think about because I've never really even connected those dots in my head, but that's enlightening.
Yeah, we'll keep asking the question and seeing if there's things that we can do. There's always things you can do.
I think so too, and I think I totally agree. It's it does encourage, right? If you see female coaches, like, oh, cool, like we can play as well, and it's kind of what you want to create.
Yeah, it is. So we'll keep going down that path.
Oh, awesome. Now, I think you've gone through some difficult leadership moments in your career. I sort of haven't we haven't gone deep into your footy career, but I do want to touch on your time at the Demons, at Melbourne Demons, and that was looking at that was a tough couple of years, and a lot of change happening there, a lot of media scrutiny and things like that. But at the same time, that for you, I find that would be such a learning moment, right? And it would have shaped who you are now. Can you just give us a little insight into what that was like?
Sure. Everything shapes who we all are.
Yes.
All the time.
No, absolutely.
And that was an experience. It was lots of learning. Lots of learning. This is quite funny, right? Well, it's not funny, but so the change that you've spoken about, it was real. It was clear that the direction of the club at that time was going to involve a whole lot of change in all different levels of the organisation. One of the beauties about modern life is the information that we're all surrounded with, the way that we even talk about change. Today, most people don't even mention change. They talk about evolution. This is how the business is going to evolve. This is how we're going to create ourselves to take advantage of current opportunities, those types of things. And they're real, and there's a lot of information. I think so. Some of the learnings about that was just the timing and the pace of change, making sure that if you are going to evolve a business and you're going to continually look to get better, to make sure that there are people in the business that are fully behind the purpose and understand what their role is, so they can help bring others along and explain that. So that was a really good learning. Interesting. Yesterday I had a phone call from a fellow called Jack Grimes, who was captain of Melbourne at the time. We had a great chat about a few things, and we were talking about how in some instances feels like yesterday, but in some instances it feels like 30 years ago. So he's moved down, he's done a sea change from Melbourne, lives in Barwon Heads. He started his own business. So lots of relationships. The media scrutiny, it can be it's quite fascinating when you're in it. And I always sort of try to find the right words to describe what that's like. I feel when you're a coach or a player, like you're aware that it's on, but you're so busy doing your stuff or your things. I think sometimes people have the perception that athletes and coaches and all that sort of stuff, they actually read every article, listen to every talkback radio. That's not what they do all day. So you get a summary of it. I think for the people so if you're in it, it's like, oh well, fine, it's great. Everybody provides some feedback. Everyone's got an opinion. That's part of how AFL works. It's one of the reasons the media rights are worth billions of dollars, because people are interested, and that's great.
And at the time as well, it was an interesting story. People want to hear the interesting stories.
Yeah,
right?
And that's absolutely awesome. The people are, like, it's hard to explain to you. I find it difficult to explain to mums. Listen, mum, that I sort of get it, but you'll be fine. You don't need to worry about it. The idea is, like, it's a 5-year thing. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Oh, Mark, but this person said this. I said, well, mum, the other thing to realise is most of the time, it's said so people click or watch or whatever. You'll get some of it will be spot on. Remember that someone's opinion or speculation, or someone saying they would have done something, it's not a factual story. So so that was quite a challenge. But looking back, so glad that, like you said, I was in the AFL for nearly 30 years, player, coach, administrator. Really enjoyed it, and has certainly shaped who I am and how my outlook on the world. But the learnings are massive, absolutely massive. And again, it's another one of those fast forward moments. But in the AFL, if you say, well, I think the plan's going to be somewhere between 3 to 5 years, it needs to happen in 2. I think we see that. In the world of business or basketball, you say, listen, it's going to be a 3-year plan. If it takes 7, no one really cares.
Yeah.
It's just different. But yeah, lots of good people, lots of good learnings on everything, and also that high performance mindset. And people sometimes say, what do you mean by high performance? But simply, I sum it up with the Mick Malthouse quote from Collingwood. Listen, it doesn't matter what's happened at home in the morning. We understand all that, and we'll wrap our arms around you and support you where you need. But when you walk through those doors, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You got to aim. You're striving to be the best in the world at what you do. You do that the whole time you're in the building. When you leave, that's okay. You can wind down, but come back tomorrow, you're doing the same thing. That's what it looks like. It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And I think I look at, for example, the way the season Carlton's having at the moment, and what, and I feel like the clickbaity media has become so bad now. Yeah. Like, it's just like I have to ignore so much that comes up, especially on socials. Like, it is literally just crazy. But I was looking at that, and I'm like, man, I have so much empathy for the team and the coach. I'm like, man, that'd be so hard. But I guess, like you said, when you're in it, you're trying to work through what you need to work through. Yeah. Right. And
I think when you're in it too, you understand the contributing factors. And so if you look at Carlton at the moment, and the only people that know what is going on is inside the inner sanctum and the four walls and those sorts of things. But the sensationalist clickbait, I tell you what they don't talk about. There's no analysis really of the Carlton player roster. Compare that to the Brisbane roster. All at very different stages of their development. Brisbane have an enormous amount of players that you would describe, they're in layperson's terms, they're at the peak of their powers right now. A whole lot of them. Carlton are never competing with that. Yeah. And I know that in an industry, the people need to at least have some, like AFL in particular, and I love it. But there's a component, sell dreams and sell hope. You can't go out there and say, listen, the chances of Carlton beating Brisbane today are about 2%. But what we need to see, some of these young kids that are coming in and helping Paddy Cripps and Sam Walsh and Mackay, and they're helping them. We just need to see this is what they're going to work on today. No one's clicking on that article.
No.
But that's the reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, inside, and how many games you're going to win? You got to do this and you got to do that. And so imagine if you came back and said, "Listen, our list, we've gone young. If we win 2 games for the year, that'd be great." Imagine if you came out and said that. But that's the truth, and they all know. You just can't say it.
I know, and and I suppose it's a stakeholder management thing, right? You got your memberships, you got sponsors, it's the kind of stuff you don't want to have.
Yeah, but that's all. That's all part of it.
That's it. And look, I must admit, I've dropped out of watching most sports. Okay. So it's just been one of those things, especially trying to build my EOS practice. I'm finding I just don't have the time, and I just don't watch a lot of sport. I did go to the footy on the weekend, thanks to a last minute ticket, which is great. But it's one of those things that when I'm in it, though, I absolutely love it. And I think it's I think footy and sports in general does so much for everyone. And I think we sort of need that. It's that. It's we get to escape for a moment.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. I think, and if you look at this, Geelong is one of its descriptions. You would describe it as a sporting town.
Oh, absolutely.
We're so lucky to be in such close proximity to the beaches and all the sports that come with that, particularly over summer, and then even in local football and netball in this population. That's what, if you include, depends what story you want to tell. Let's say we include.
Where do you draw the lines around? Yeah,
we'll take all the Surf Coast population and the Ballerine and all that. So we'll say it's just over 300,000. There's over 30 football and netball clubs currently participating in one of 3 leagues. Seriously? Right, and then the netball competitions and basketball competitions that happen every day, and that doesn't take into account soccer. And then there's badminton, and then you've got all these other sports that I haven't, and there's futsal and all these other ones, and then there's paddleball, which is just great. So sport's crazy. At the top level, I can't even imagine what this city would be like without the Geelong Football Club.
I was just thinking, you were saying that, and I was thinking like how much of that was driven by the fact that we have
and
a national team.
It's sensational. Like just there, like we can see the light poles from where we are. Like that, what they do for the town is amazing. And so, and then at the next level, when you say you get to escape, I've got two things here for you. On the thing that I struggle most with when I do the radio work for the footy, very rarely the Cats might get beaten. Doesn't happen very often. Like Geelong won more games than any other team across a 20-year period. They played more finals. They finished the top four, and this is where the emotion comes in. And like they might lose a game. Oh, that player's no good. Sack the coach. I feel like saying, really? Like seriously? But you just everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah,
and they go. And I can when you escape. My father-in-law who's passed away. He was one of the probably right up there podium finish for one of the most intelligent people that I'd ever had the pleasure to have a discussion with until he watched footy.
Yeah.
I couldn't go. I'd say he passionate Geelong supporter. Yeah. You'd sit in the ground and some of the things he just go, no, there's no way that. Do you know what I mean? It's a full escape.
It's very much one-sided on everything.
But it's great. It's part of the community.
I love it. And look, to that point, like my son has a mate and they play soccer together as well. Die-hard footy fan. Like loves the Cats to the point where he is the loudest kid when they're winning and he's in tears when he's and it doesn't no matter what game it is. Like, and I see that and I go, wow, that is so beautiful to see. And at the same time, I'm like, mate, like we're in round 4.
Yeah,
just take it easy. But I love seeing that, and you see that at the cheer squad, and you see the same faces over the years in the cheer squad. Like for me, I'm like, man, that is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like I still see I remember the guy that was tearing up when Gary Upper Jr. Something happened with Gary Upper Jr. back in the day, and he was teared up on TV, and I still see him around the club. Like he's still around. Like it's just beautiful.
Well, yeah, it is good. Look, sport is ultimately when it's on, it's a place for our community to meet.
Yes.
Go and do their thing, stay connected. We know how important connection is. Now, if you can do that through sport or you can do that through other different mechanisms, it's really important for us.
That's it. And I think Geelong United Basketball and Venom are adding to the amazing sport culture we have in Geelong, which is like that's exciting.
It is, and that we are realistic about where we currently sit, the role we can play. We believe that will be a larger role as the years go by. We'll get through the startup phase, and then we'll be away. But we'd like to contribute to that.
Excellent, Mark. It's been really good chatting to
you
and going through a bunch of different things and just getting your insights too for Geelong Venom. I'm really interested. When's the season starting?
Season will start in October.
Yep.
Now, we haven't got the final fixture yet. There are 2 drafts. One has us starting mid-October, one in the first week of October. So that will be done over the next couple of weeks. There's a conference. We're all off to a 3-day conference. Everyone loves a conference. So we're going to Melbourne for 3 days, only an hour away, which is good.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know, at Townsville, I don't know if they're all that happy that they've got to fly down for particularly
into the
at
cold
this time
weather.
of the year.
Yes.
Yeah. So they'll come and visit us along with the other 8, us plus the other 8 teams. That'll be all out. So we'll start in October sometime. Players will be here. The full team will be here first week of September, pre-season. We've got some exciting contracts out there that just haven't come back signed just yet. We might have a delay on a few of them. That they might be involved with overseas leagues. But predominantly, our part of that vision is that the 12-year-old young female that will play tonight in one of the local stadiums will one day end up in that team. Okay, I think Geelong has we know that there's a lot of Geelong local, in this instance, female basketballers, female netballers, that when they get to a certain level have to move away from Geelong, where we should be able to provide a pathway if they wish to stay in their home backyard all the way through. So that's part of it. I think that's important.
Absolutely. And, I mean, what does the club need? So, we're talking about trying to, cover our costs, so to speak, over
Yeah.
coming years. This season coming up, what does the club need from a sponsorship point of view? Like, do we have room to have more business activity or more businesses getting involved?
Absolutely, we do. We need more people to become involved every season, so that's becoming involved at all different levels. Look, I think in the current climate with money and cost of living pressures and the interest rates, they're probably going to go up again today. We understand that. So it's almost like instead of getting out there, bang the drum, come to 12 home games, what about start with one?
Yeah.
Just come and have a look and give us some feedback about what the experience was. Maybe you'll come back for a second one. I think there's certainly that would be great. So we need to do more brand awareness in the entertainment factor and just come and try for 90 minutes and it's $10 bucks
likes.
a ticket and all that. Yeah, more likes if it was $1. Those types of things. And then at the other end, we know for all different reasons that businesses will want to get involved with sporting teams. Okay, so we're really open about what our purpose is. We are promoting lifelong activity. We want to increase female participation. At the same time, we want to give the current females there the opportunity to strive to win a championship. So it's probably three major ones. And there's a lot of alignment with businesses that we have. Like I said, there's over 100 Geelong businesses involved now. Being a startup, we need to double that over the upcoming year. So, yeah, lots of room.
And do we have room for more people in the stadiums too?
We certainly do. Oh, perfect. Oh, look, you've just led me into that amazingly. Look, we could fit another 650 people per week in the stadium based on our average crowd attendance. So we'd like to do that. Given that this is a Victorian state election year and with lots of discussions going on about the next level of indoor stadium for not only basketball but to attract different performers down here that would need that somewhere between the 6,000 to 10,000 seat stadium. Other sports such as netball, and we think we're going to get a good hearing in the lead up to the state election, but there seems to be great alignment amongst the three levels of government at the moment that Geelong could get some really good news later in the year via the state election.
No, that'd be good. And I mean, for basketball, but like you said, for other events too, I think we're just lacking
we
good
are.
space.
And nothing exists. The shared services, multi-use, like you don't have to lock everyone out. It's been a long time since my kids were little, but I presume the Wiggles are still around. If we want to bring the Wiggles and put 10,000 Geelong people, and we should be able to do that. And if the next day there's a game of netball, or the following day there's a game of basketball, or there's I know we've got that magnificent convention centre that is about to be opened. I know the hotel at the back's been opened. Like if we need a place that's got some more people, like I said before, we're 330,000 people.
And growing.
Yeah, and growing. We should be able to do this. Isn't it? Again, balance. There's a lot of other, and don't get me wrong, there is a number of other issues in our community that certainly need some money to improve their services, health services and housing and things such as that. Absolutely, they're at the top of the tree there. I also think we might be able to find some money to get a decent indoor multi-use facility, put it that way.
No, absolutely. Mark, all the best this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
What's the best way people can connect with you?
Best way to connect with me, I'm one of those people that I'd put them to the website, www.geelongunitedbasketball.com.au. If you're looking for me, you're not going to find me in there. It's not about me. I've hidden under about 25 different clicks. But I think if you're looking for a way to get involved, go through that website.
Absolutely.
Now, the most important thing, our charter, if you like, is to promote lifelong activity. So if you've got children or you've got yourselves, we have everything from under 8 basketball to Aussie hoops for 6-year-olds to walking basketball for over 60s.
And the all abilities.
All abilities. Yeah. There's a wheelchair competition.
It's amazing.
It's part of the community. That's the most important thing. You'll find information about all of that there.
Okay.
You don't need to know anything about me. Well, I've given you enough here. That's not for me.
No, awesome, Mark. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.